Hi guys, welcome back to ladensercrochets. If you're new to the channel, you're welcome. My name is Liz. In this tutorial, we're going to turn a denim pair of pants into a skaterish skirt. I hope that you're going to enjoy this tutorial. If you do, please leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. You're going to need yarn, and the yarn that I'm using is thin, so I'll be doubling the strands to achieve a medium weight effect. Then I'll be using a 3.5mm crochet hook. You're going to need a seam ripper. Then you're also going to need a sewing needle, stitch markers, a pair of scissors, and a measuring tape. We're also going to need a darning needle. So get your pair of pants or shorts, whatever you're working with. I'm upcycling this pair of pants because it's torn over here, and I'll be cutting it at that point. So that will be the length of the skirt that I'll be working. So I'll just get my pair of scissors and cut it at that point where we have the tear. So right here, I'm just cutting the lower part. I'm cutting it off so that I remain with the upper part. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other leg, and to do that I'll just fold the trouser into two and just make sure that I'm aligning it well, making sure that the upper parts are at the same point. Then I'll get the pair of scissors and cut the other leg at that same exact point. So you're going to measure out the length of the skirt that you want. Then you're going to measure from the waist down, and then you cut the legs off. After cutting the legs, we're going to turn our short like this. Then we're going to get the seam ripper or the pair of scissors, and we're going to open the middle part of the pants. So let me do that. I first tried to use the seam ripper, but then I realized that it was so much easier to use the pair of scissors. So I went on and undid the stitches using the pair of scissors. After struggling with the ripper, I actually did not have to use it. Once I'm done opening up the middle part, this is what I have. And this is where I'm saying that I should have just used the pair of scissors, because I had to trim off those hems that were right there. So I went on to cut them off just to make the trouser neater, our skirt neater, that is. Then we're going to take the measuring tape and measure the length that we have over there, and then on the side of the skirt we're going to measure the same length, then make a cut at that point till we get to that length that we are working with. Then after that, I'll just remove the unwanted hem on the edge of the skirt. Then after cutting it off, I'm going to go to the middle of the skirt. As you can see, just do what I'm doing. I'm measuring and cutting off. I want to have 7, not 7, but 8. At the back, I'm also going to take the same measurement, mark, then cut. So we're going to have 8 openings on the skirt. So we are done with one of the legs. We go to the other leg. On the edge of the leg, measure the 10.5 inches, then cut. After cutting, I'll just remove the hem on that edge. Then I'll go to the upper part of that leg and measure in the middle 10.5 inches, then cut up to that mark. Then on the back part of that leg, I'll also measure the 10.5 mark and then cut until we get to that marking. So at this point, I have 8 points that I've marked, and those are the points where we're going to add our crochet our crochet detail. So after cutting off, we're going to get the needle and some yarn, make a knot, and then we're going to sew some hem where we're going to be attaching the crochet detail, because we cannot just attach it direct onto the onto the jeans, because we do not have a sewing machine. Begin at any point on the skirt. I'll start with a knot, then I'll get one of the points, as you can see, insert my needle there, and I'll start sewing. And this is how I'm going to go about it. You want to ensure that you're working like a centimeter apart, like that. Go onto a next point, then go over the needle. It's like you're making a knot, so that this will look like we've crocheted over the denim, but because it's easier to work with the needle, we're going to work with it instead of the hook. So just sew like a centimeter apart. Make sure you're going over under the needle like that, just like you do when you're making a knot, but don't be too tight with your work, because when you're too tight, then the skirt will look creased. So I'm just going to go all the way to the bottom. When I get to the bottom, I'll work on the bottom part of the skirt, then I'll continue all the way around the skirt on all those parts that we've cut. This is a lot of work, by the way. It's going to take you some time, so you're going to need patience to get through this. But if you have a very small hook, you can crochet single crochets instead of using the needle and sewing. So this is what you're going to have all the way around those parts that we've cut. We're just creating the edge where we're going to attach the pieces, the crochet pieces that we're going to make. So keep going. I'll keep going all the way around. When we get to the corner, we'll just turn and continue on the bottom part, just working the same thing. So this is where we are at, and this is what we have. So now we continue on that other edge through the next edge at the bottom, and I'm going to keep going. So once I run out of the yarn, I'll just be adding it and continue working till I get to the point where I've begun. So do that, and I'll meet you once I've done this. After I'm done with that edging, I've done a knot, and I forgot to record that part, but you know how to connect two edges. Then after that, I'm just going to weave in the end that has remained inside the stitches, and then I'll cut it off. So do that, then cut off the end that remains, and now we'll get to making the triangles, the crochet triangles that we're going to fit into the skirt. After you're done weaving, you're going to make a knot and cut off the yarn. Now this is what we're going to have after we've worked those edges all the way around the skirt. So now we're going to get our yarn and the hook, and we're going to create the crochet pieces in triangle form, and we're going to attach them in each of those points that we've cut, the 8 points. So we're going to make 8 triangles. This is how one of the triangles will look like. So now I'm just going to grab my yarn and double it up to get the medium weight effect. So work with a medium weight yarn. It could be acrylic or cotton, it's all up to you. And we're going to start with a slip knot. So begin with a slip knot. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Then yarn over, insert our hook into the first chain and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 to complete a double crochet. Then we're going to work another double crochet into the same stitch, the same first stitch, and in total, together with the chain, we're going to have a total of 3 double crochets. Then we're going to chain 2 and turn. The chain 2 is a double crochet in the first stitch, so we're going to work into the second stitch and we're going to place 3 double crochets. So that is 1, then we're going to have 2 and the third double crochet into the same stitch. Then we're going to work our last double crochet, but before then we need to mark the middle stitch, the second double crochet at that point where we've worked 3 double crochets. So mark the second double crochet, and then the last double crochet will be on top of the chain 2 from the beginning of the previous row. So in total we have 5 double crochets in row 2, chain 2 and turn, begin in the second double crochet and work our second double crochet because the chain 2 is our first double crochet. And in this row we're just going to place 1 double crochet into every stitch, including the one that we've marked, but then we're going to mark it again because we need to know the middle stitch of every row because that's the point of increase. Then we're going to work a double crochet into the next double crochet, then a double crochet at the end on the chain 2. Then we have 5 double crochets in row 3. We've not increased. Chain 2 and turn. I do not need the stitch marker, but you might need to keep it. Then we get to the middle stitch and work 3 double crochets. We are increasing in row 4, but then the next row, which is row 5, we're not going to increase. So in row 4 we're going to place 3 double crochets into the middle stitch. Then we're going to have a double crochet next and a last double crochet into the chain 2. In total we have 7 double crochets in row 4. Chain 2 and turn to work row 5, which does not have an increase, so each stitch will get 1 double crochet. Beginning from the second one, we're going to place a double crochet next, and work a total of 7 double crochets in row 5. So it's like every time we increase, we are increasing 2 stitches. So make sure that you work the last double crochet on top of the chain 2, and that is the end of row 5 with 7 double crochets, chain 2 and turn to work row 6. Row 6 is an increased row, so we begin in the next double crochet, the second double crochet. Then we work a double crochet into the third double crochet, and the fourth double crochet is the middle stitch, so it's going to get 3 double crochets because we're increasing in that row. So we have 3 double crochets in that middle stitch, and on the other side now we have 3 stitches remaining, and each one of them will get 1 double crochet. On top of the chain 2 we place our last double crochet. Then row 7, chain 1 and turn is a row with no increase, so each of the stitches will get just 1 double crochet, and at the end of row 7 we should have 9 double crochets, because that's the same number that we had in row 6, which was an increased row. So we are increasing in the even rows, then the odd rows we work them without increasing. So I'm coming to the end of row 7 and I'm working my last double crochet, which is the 9th double crochet on top of the chain 2. Then I'm going to chain 2 and turn to begin row 8. Row 8 is even, so we're going to have an increase in the middle. So we work our second double crochet, a third double crochet, and a fourth double crochet. The 5th double crochet is the middle stitch, and that will get 3 double crochets. That is 1. Then we're going to place 2 more. So we have the second one and the third one. So we have 4 stitches remaining, and we're going to place 1 double crochet into each one of them to the end. Make sure that you work in the chain 2. Do not forget the chain 2, because that's a stitch. We are done with row 8, so we're going to chain 2 and turn to work row 9. And row 9 is going to be a row with no increase at all, so just 1 double crochet into each of the double crochets. At the end of row 9 we should have 11 double crochets. So then we're going to increase in row 10, and then we'll not increase in row 11, and we'll keep going with the alternate rows of increase and no increase until we get the length of the cut that we've made. So if your length was 10 inches, you're going to make a triangle that has a length of 10 inches. If it was 5 inches, you're going to make a triangle that is 10 inches long. So I'll keep going until I have my desired length, then I'll come back. I'm just going to get my first triangle and count the number of rows that I did in that first one. And after counting, I realized that I had done a total of 19 rows. So I'm going to do the same number of rows and then come back. After 19 rows, I'll have a total of 21 stitches, and I'll be done with my triangle. So let me keep going, and then I'll show you how to do the edging of the triangle before we move on to attaching it onto our skirt. After my 19 rows, I'm at 10 inches and I'm working with 10.5. But when I work the edging on the sides of the triangle, I'm going to get to the 10.5 inches. So at that end, we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to work on the rows, and on each of the double crochet rows, we're going to place 2 single crochets. The next row will get 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets into the next row, and I'm going to place 2 single crochets into each of the rows till I get to the top or to the tip of the triangle, and I'll show you how to turn to the other side and work an edging on the other side too. I'm in the last double crochet and I'm just placing my 2 single crochets, and at the tip, at the point where we began in that very first stitch, we're just going to place 1 single crochet, and then we turn onto the other side. On the double crochet row on the other side, we're going to place 2 single crochets, and as we do that, I'm going to work on the end that we had left at the beginning, then 2 single crochets into the next double crochet row, 2 single crochets into the row that follows, and then we're going to place the 2 single crochets into each of the rows till we get to the end, to the last row, and I'll meet you in that last row. I'm at the last row and I'm going to place the 2 single crochets into it, and we're done with the edging. So we're going to chain 1. Then we want to leave a long end that will be able to attach the 2 sides of the triangle, and then we just cut off the yarn once we're satisfied that that end will be enough. Then after cutting off, we're just going to pull the yarn through and fasten. And now I have 2 of my triangles and I need to work 8 of them, so I have 6 remaining. I'll go on, create the 6, and then come back and start attaching them to the skirt. I have my 8 triangles ready, as you can see, so it's time to attach them. I've already attached 2 of the triangle, 3 actually. I've already done 3 of them. So I'll be showing you how to do just 1 of the triangles, and then you can go on and attach the others, because we are doing the same exact thing at all the points. So get one of the points where we cut the skirt, and then you're going to grab your triangle and put it at that point. So let me get the triangle. So you want to place it like this, and we're going to get a stitch marker and mark at the top, at the tip of the triangle, and at the top where we cut the skirt. Then you also want to mark on the edge on the other side. So we're just going to connect using the end that remained on our triangle using the darning needle. So get the stitch marker and mark the middle part. We just want to align our work so that it makes the sewing easy, and ensure that we're not having work that is not well aligned. So get the darning needle and put the yarn through. Then we're going to begin from the bottom at the corners, in that very first stitch at the corner of the triangle and the corner of the skirt. Just join the 2 stitches together like that. Then I'll just go back into that very first stitch, and I'm going to make a knot. So I'm going under the needle and pulling through and fastening, just to make sure that that end is secured. Then I'll go into the next stitch and just watch how I'm connecting, and this is how you're going to do the connection. So onto one stitch on the triangle and on top of the stitch on the skirt. Connect the 2 like that. There are points where you might need to skip a stitch, because the stitches on the skirt may not be the same number as the stitches on the triangle. You don't have to work on all the stitches on the triangle. You may have to skip 1 or 2 at some points, and that is okay, provided that you're aligning your work well. So this is how we're going to attach that triangle all the way to the top. When we get to the top, we're going to turn and attach on the other side. So let me just keep going as you watch and learn. Once you get to the top, we're just removing the stitch marker and attaching the top stitches just like that. And then you're going to need to turn so that you can work on the other side. And you're also going to need to mark just to make sure that you're aligning those stitches correctly. As you can see, this is not hard. It's quite simple. All you need to do is make sure that you're working from the right side of your skirt, align your work correctly, make sure that you're not going to have one side longer than the other, and you do that using the stitch markers, and then you just attach the corresponding stitches using the darning needle. And as you can see, we are getting very neat work. I'm loving how it's coming out, so I'll just keep going to the end. Once we get to the end, we're just going to remove the stitch marker and work the corner stitches. Then we're going to make a knot at that very end, make the knot, and then weave in that end that has remained on the wrong side of the skirt. And that is how you attach your triangle onto the skirt. So that is done. Then I'll cut off the end that has remained, and we have our triangle in place. Now I have 4 of them attached, so I'll just go on and attach the rest, then I come back once I'm done. After working the 8 triangles, this is what we have, and we are almost done. The only thing that is remaining is to work a single crochet edging through the bottom part of the skirt, and we're going to do that with the hook and the yarn. So get your hook and the yarn, reconnect the yarn at any point on the skirt, and pull up a loop to slip stitch, then chain 1. So I'm going to chain 1, go back into that stitch and place a single crochet, and as I do that, I'm going to work over the short end. Now I'll go in between the stitches, in between the double crochet stitches, and place a single crochet in between the next double crochet stitches, in between the next double crochet, and then I'll keep going with 1 single crochet in between each of the stitches till I'm done with the double crochet stitches, and I'll get to the stitches on the denim. So keep going like this. You actually don't need this row, you can do without it, but I feel like once I do this last single crochet row, it makes the work a bit neater at the bottom, so that's why I do the row. Then at the edge right there, I'll do a single crochet at the corner. Then I'll get onto the denim, and on the stitches on the denim, I'll go inside those stitches and place a single crochet into each of the stitches. Some of the stitches are a bit wider than others, so you might notice that that part of the denim is getting a fold. If you don't want that, you may place 2 single crochets into each of the stitches. That is, if you worked the stitches too wide apart. So now I'll get onto the crochet part, and at the crochet part, I'll work a single crochet on the edging that we did, then a single crochet in between the double crochet stitches, and I'll just work this all the way around the skirt. So just keep going till you get to the point where you've started. I'm coming to the end of that single crochet edging, and I'm placing a single crochet into the very last stitch right there, then slip stitch onto the first single crochet that we made, chain 1, and cut off the yarn, then pull the yarn through. Then we're going to get a darning needle, and weave in that end. And once the end is weaved in, we'll be done. So put the yarn through, go inside the single crochet stitches that we have on that edge of the skirt, and just put the needle through and hide that end until you're satisfied that it's well hidden. Then you can cut off whatever is going to remain. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the tutorial. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, kindly leave a like, leave a comment, share with your friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and when you recreate this, don't forget to tag me on Instagram, and I'll be reposting your work. See you in the next one.